Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana, and today I'm going to be giving you my crowdfunding update. So looking back into August and looking ahead into September, what are the games I backed, what was I following and didn't back, what am I still following that's carrying over into September, and what am I looking forward to in terms of games coming out on crowdfunding sites later in September. So if you're curious to see what I backed, what I'm looking at, what I'm following, what I'm looking forward to, stay tuned. So before I actually get into the crowdfunding aspect of what I've backed and all of that, let me shout out a couple channels that help me to know about crowdfunding projects that are going on. So first up is Thinker Themer. I love the way that they do their back chats and kind of rank the games that they consider the top things that they've really thought of most likely backing, and then sharing what they backed and why they backed it, sometimes why they didn't back something or what they're leaning towards backing or leaning away from. I just love hearing what they're interested in. I love their contrasts of thinking and theming, whether they focus on the theme of a game or the mechanics. So love their channel, and I love their back chat series to get new ideas about other projects that maybe I haven't heard about, and just hearing what they think about the ones that I'm also following. Another one is Game Brigade, and in that one, Brian actually follows through most like what I do, and more like Thinker Themer, of just not talking about everything that's out there, but just the ones that he's most interested in. And so similar to my channel and Thinker Themer, that same kind of approach. I also really like to follow Liege of Games, and he is a little bit more big picture in terms of not just, he does talk about what he's interested in, but he also talks about other games and gives a broader spectrum of what's coming out, what's already out, what you should back. Kind of similar to Alex at Board Game Co., which is another channel I want to give a shout out to. He'll give at the beginning of the month all the things he knows about coming in the month, and then week by week what you should back, what you shouldn't back, and then more specific reviews. And he's just extremely prolific in the videos he puts out. But I would say probably my number one go-to is Shelf Clutter. And for Shelf Clutter, he actually has not only his channel where once a week he puts out, hey, what's coming up, but he always has these contests on his channel, which is really cool that he's able to work with so many publishers to get either project backing or games to give away on his channel, which is really cool. And then he also manages this Discord channel. And so let me just show you the Discord channel. All right, so here's the Discord channel for Shelf Clutter by Adam Singer, and he does a great job. Like I said, on his channel, there's all kinds of things here as the traditional Discord channels would have with the welcome, and then he's got giveaways here, which I mentioned he does a lot of on his channel, information about late pledges, and then if you scroll down here now, it's launched last week, campaigns this week, coming next week. So for instance, Verdant, we can look here and we can see it's by Flat Out Games, expected to launch on the 14th. Link to the Kickstarter page, link to the BGG page, link to the website. Just an incredible source, and you can scroll down remaining this month, further down coming next month, remaining this quarter. So just lots and lots of information about what is on Gamefound and Kickstarter and what is coming to Gamefound and Kickstarter. So great resource. Love what Adam does on his channel and love how he manages this Discord. Now on to what I've backed, what I'm following, what I'm looking forward to. And so first off, one that I'm not going to show on here, but I did back the brothers Murph just to support their channel. I love the content they put out, and so that's one that I backed that I won't show. And then I want to comment on Paradox Initiative. I've been talking about this for a few months, excited about its coming out and learning more about the game, but it's been pushed to January, so I'm not going to be talking about that again for a while. Now to the games that I've backed. So the first one, Divinus by Lucky Duck Games. This mythological legacy game is a tile-laying game. It's got app integration, and it's by the same creators who put out Chronicles of Crime and Destinies, which are two games I really enjoy. And I love tile-laying games. I love dice rolling and dice manipulation, and I love some aspects of the legacy. I'm not certain about that, but the thing that pushed me over the edge to say, yes, I'm getting this, is when right towards the end of the campaign, they came out and said that they are going to have these recharge packs built in. And so I'd ended up going in at the Chest of Plenty pledge just to get all the gameplay content. So it's my splurge of the month. Definitely went in all in to get all the miniatures, all the gameplay, big box. So that's one of the games that I backed. Another one that I backed is Almanac Crystal Peaks. And I really love worker placement games. And this one by Colossal Games is one I really enjoy. Some games by Scott Alms, and this concept of the Dragon Road. As I've watched videos of it, I think it's a game I'm really going to enjoy. Jeremy Howard and Thinker Themer have both mentioned this in their videos. And so I really think it's a game I'm going to enjoy a lot. And so I ended up backing this one at the opportunity to get both this new game, and it is the Crystal Peaks. It is a standalone game, and also the so this is the pledge, the Open Road pledge, also the original Dragon Road, plus these 2 expansions, and one of them I think allows those 2 games to be even played together. So it's a worker placement, but you finish a very short worker placement game, and then you turn to a new page and continue on that game. So I really like that sort of campaign feel to advancing through bunches of different storylines. And I think having both of them, it just seemed like a really good opportunity to jump in. So that's another one I backed. Next up, I also backed this new expansion, the Age of Darkness Emissaries of the Vale expansion. This one's by AEG and John DeClaire. And I have recently unboxed Edge of Darkness, so I was a little hesitant, should I jump in? But this was such a short window of time to back this one that I didn't have a chance to get Edge of Darkness to the table. And the wisdom part of me said, oh, you should wait, play the game before you just back another expansion. And yet I gave in and backed it anyway. So I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy this expansion and enjoy Edge of Darkness. I did watch lots of videos before I purchased the big, huge previous Kickstarter secondhand. And so I have all the other expansions, and I just thought, the completionist in me couldn't pass up the opportunity to pick this up. So I did pick up just the expansion for this one. So I have all the other stuff already, just adding the expansion. Next up, I also backed Legend Academy by Eldorado Games. This one, it was really the theme that drew me in. It's the idea of these heroes coming to the Legend Academy to develop their legendhood, to actually become legends. And I like the idea of playing these different asymmetric characters with all their unique abilities. And I like the fact that they are living out other stories. So these characters are living out, so Alice in Wonderland might be living out Gulliver's Travels. And so you're combining these heroes that are learning to be legends by working through other stories. And so to me, this has unending expandability possibilities where they've already got a bunch that were built in because the campaign did really well. And it also was one of those where for $69, I can get the deluxe edition. It was a cheaper back. And so I was very excited about not only what this game holds, but also the potential future of it. And from the playthroughs, it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, a game that we'll really enjoy here at our house. Next up, Lands of Galzyr by Snowdale Design, Sammy Loxo. I love Dale of Merchants. I've got the whole collection and all the different expansions. I love that game. So I love the art, and this open world story-driven game. Eventually I gave into this one. I was going to try to hold off because I backed some other games, but because I love Dale of Merchants so much, I just couldn't withstand, and so I gave in. You can play this one competitively or cooperatively. I love the story-driven nature of it. I like the way that it incorporates this dice rolling and also player skill development. I ended up not getting the deluxe edition. That's one way I did hold back because I don't think I need all of these other extra features. I just went in for the base pledge. Now maybe in the end I'll change and decide to get the playmat or something, but I don't think I'll need the sleeves. I don't need the journal or the dice tray. I don't think that the soundtrack will be something that I need. So right now I just have gone in at the base game. But again, I love the app integration for this one, helping to flesh out the story. And I love the art. I love the storage solutions here. So I did end up backing Lands of Galzyr, and that is the last one. So there's quite a few there, the things that I backed in August. Now the games that I have been following and either didn't back or I'm still following because they're not over yet. First up, I'll mention Artifacts, and this one was one that was canceled. And this is one that I actually made a preview video for, but it wasn't funding. It was in the last week or so, and it was only about halfway to the funding goal. And so they reached out and said, hey, we're going to have to cancel this project, and we're going to try to come back with some maybe different pledge levels and think about a different marketing strategy to try to help people not feel so overwhelmed by all that the entire game holds, and to try to get some more playthrough information and videos. So I think they'll be back maybe next year with a little bit more streamlined project on Kickstarter to hopefully draw more people in. So there was a fairly good number, closing out on 250 backers and almost $45,000, but they needed more than that to make this come to reality. So they're going to try to come back, I think, next year. Another one that I followed and back, Earthborne Rangers. I love the fact that they're trying to sustainably produce this game and that the game is about sustainability. I love the art. I like cooperative games. And it just, for me, the cost and the fact that it's primarily a card game, in the end, while I love what this company's doing, after I had backed all those other ones early in the month, I just couldn't add this one to the budget. And so we'll see. I might end up trying to find a way to support this company and purchase this game down the road if there's an opportunity. But for now, I just couldn't pull the trigger on this one. As beautiful it is as it is, the theme interests me, and the art really was cool. But the most reason that I was thinking of backing it is just to support the company for what they're trying to do. But in the end, I ended up just having to draw the line and did not do that. Another one I was looking into that I did not back, Excavation Earth. It belongs in a museum expansion. I don't have the base game, never have played the base game, but it sounds interesting. So I thought about backing it and trying to go all in. But again, in the end, the budget won out and I had to draw the line somewhere. And so while it does look incredibly interesting, while it has solo mode that I enjoy, and while it has some really, neat art and is, Rada recommends it and other people recommend it, I was drawn in and very tempted, but in the end, I couldn't back everything I was interested in. So this is one that fell by the wayside. I was looking at this Envoy because it gives the base game plus some expansions, but in the end, I just had to draw the line and not do that one. The next up, Turf War. And Turf War is a game that I enjoyed. I actually was able to make a preview video for them as well and enjoyed playing it. My wife and I had some fun with it. But as a two-player game and one that's got a lot of take that, I just didn't see it getting to the table very much for my family. We have too many other two-player games we really love, like Targi and Cave to Cave and those several others. Just didn't feel like this was going to hit the table too much. So we ended up not backing it, although I really love the art. I like what Dan was doing here with this game and wish him all the best. Glad to see that it funded, and you can pre-order it if you didn't get a chance to get on the game. If that sounds like the kind of game you would enjoy, a two-player head-to-head with a fair bit of take that, check this out, see if you can pre-order it with this link. The next one up that I didn't back is Arydia, The Paths We Dare Tread. And while this one is beautiful and very intriguing, it almost just seems too big. I just thought, how am I going to get to this to the table enough to justify the nearly $200 investment that it would be? I like the idea of it, but I have so many other campaign games, so many other adventure story-driven games. I haven't finished Sleeping Gods. I haven't finished Seventh Continent. I've got all these other games that have that Journeys in Middle Earth, just all these games that I would love to dig in more to. And I thought this is just adding another gigantic game. And so both for the price and just the size of it, I thought, while it's beautiful and I hope to someday be able to play it, I just didn't think adding it to my collection made sense at this time. Next up was Flamecraft, and to be honest, this one, I didn't really know much about it, so I just heard it blowing up on Kickstarter and just killing it with so many people backing it. As I looked over the campaign, it looked interesting, but honestly, the art and gameplay didn't draw me in too much. And so I'm very happy that this Cardboard Alchemy and Lucky Duck Games has found great success with this Kickstarter project, and I wish them all the best. I did look into it because so many people were talking about it. And I technically did back it, but I only backed it as an award for a reward gift for a person who won a contest. They were going to win a copy of Artifacts, and then when Artifacts canceled, I didn't want them to be empty-handed, so I chose to back this for them. So yeah, that's what they were interested in this game a little more than I was. So I'm interested to hear what that person thinks about the game, and looking forward to being able to send that to them. And hopefully I can play this someday, but again, just didn't think that it would probably be one that would hit our table a lot. So while I was mainly intrigued by the big buzz that it brought, didn't end up backing it personally. Black Rose Wars Rebirth. This is one that's still live for 4 more days. And I did look into the original game of this, watched several videos, and then looking at this kind of rebirth, this recreation of this game. And I think, to me, honestly, the theme is interesting. I like fantasy, but it's, again, it almost looks too involved, like it would take a huge learning curve. It kind of reminds me of Mage Knight that way, that it's probably worth it once you get to that point. But with a lot of big box games already in my collection and a lot of games like Mage Knight that I love, that every time I come back to it, I have to spend a fair bit of time remembering the rules and digging in. I just felt like this might be a little bit too involved and probably would sit on the shelf more than it would get played. So very interesting, beautiful art, incredible, components. So check it out if you're interested. You got a few more days left, but this is one that I don't expect I'll back. If you are interested, since it is still live, you can also see it's a pretty big, hefty chunk of change. So $153 for the Rebirth pledge. And then there's the retail pledge as well. The early bird is already gone. So due to the cost and the likelihood of it sitting on my shelf and not getting played, This one I probably will not back, but I have been checking it out. And if it sounds like a game you're interested in, check it out as well. Here's another one that I'm still thinking about. 5 days left to go. This is sort of board game adjacent. John from Genius Games has created these jigsaw puzzles that break down anatomy. My wife and I both are science teachers. I'm currently teaching an anatomy physiology class. And so I thought, well, this might be kind of interesting for my classroom. And they have some interesting packages here where you can buy 1 puzzle, 3 puzzles, 5 puzzles, and they have some older puzzles that they've created before. So I'm still thinking about this one since my wife and I could possibly use both these in both of our classrooms. I'm considering it. It looks like they're, you know, highly accurate and interesting puzzles. You can, if you get all their old ones and the new ones, you can get the whole body built into a puzzle. 7 volumes, and it's 305 centimeters tall. So 3 meters, over 10 feet, so huge. So very interested. Not sure I'm going to go into it. I don't love puzzles. My wife likes them quite a bit. I enjoy them some. So we'll see. I'm looking into it. I'm still keeping an open mind. Genius Games has put out some really great stuff. I'm really excited to try this genotype at some point. So that's one I'm still watching. And in terms of the backing, for $19 or more, you can get 1 puzzle. For $54, you can get 3 puzzles. For $89, you can get the full set of these new 5. All right, and 5 days to go if you want to back it. It's easily pledged or easily backed or funded for now. Next up, Iro. This is a 2-player abstract game, and it's a little bit chess-like. You've got an interesting move, though. So this tile here with yellow, red, and blue means that I could go blue, then red, and then yellow. I could go blue, then yellow, then red, and then diagonal here to red. So you move based on the colors that are on your piece. And you're trying to basically, kind of like chess, you're trying to capture the other player's pieces and take them off the board. You can see it's a modular board, so the game board is going to have a different pattern of colors every time. Very abstract, very chess-like. I'm tempted. I'm thinking about this game. The one thing that kind of concerns me is honestly the modular board. I like the idea of it, but I'm just wondering if as you're moving around, if it's going to bump and slide, and every time you pick up the pieces, you're going to have to realign those boards. I have a little bit of that kind of tendency towards order. I want things to be just so. So I wonder if I would just be fiddling with it the whole time. I'm not sure. So it's really, that's the one thing holding me back. I like the idea. I love the thinking through this color pattern to move. I think that's really creative. So definitely following this one. If you want to look here at the pledges, you can get 1 box for 35 Australian dollars, about 27 US. 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes. So very simple to choose what you want. First time creator. It is well funded. And so 10 days to go. Interested in this one. Yeah, like I said, I'm just that one sort of mechanical aspect of will the board be too fiddly is the only thing kind of holding me back, but I'm watching this one for sure. Next up, The Gardens. 9 days to go here. This one's by Grail Games. And this is a card playing game where you're actually sort of recreating your version of the gardens, this botanical gardens from Australia. And I watched Thinker Themer talk about this. I've watched a few other videos on this game, and I love the pattern building and the moving around of the cards to put them in just the right pattern to satisfy scoring goals. And so it's also quite an inexpensive game. For 36 Australian, you can get the Gardener Pledge, and then you've got this free ibis. I never can remember how you pronounce that bird's name. And this is kind of the same thing as Iro. There's this board where you're going to be laying out these double-sided player match. You're going to be laying out your cards, and again, I'm just worried about the cards sliding around as you're moving your token across them. So I don't know. I think, is it going to be too fiddly? If I go in, I'll probably go in at the Botanist Pledge though, because then you also get this walk in the park roll and write, and it looks very simple, very cute. And you know, nice, goes along with the theme. So kind of thinking about going in at that pledge, but there's just that one part of it, having those cards laying on the board, and then when I put new cards and move my tokens around to take their walk through the park, is that gonna, again, make the cards slide around? Is that gonna bother me? So for 36 Australian, you can get just the gardens, and then for 59 Australian, 44 US, you can get the Botanist with the gardens, and then also that second game, a walk in the park roll and write. And then there's some retailer and big group pledges as well. So that is the Gardens. Another one that I'm keeping my eye on. All right, you can see there's a few more to go. Wild Serengeti, 12 days to go. And this game is by Bad Comet Games. And this one, you're building a documentary about wildlife in the Serengeti. It's got this sort of Everdale piece here, which I think has a little bit to do with gameplay, but probably a little bit like the tree in Everdale, more visual and aesthetic than actual functional. I don't know though. Haven't heard many people talk about it, but you're basically trying to move your animals around according to these scenes that you're trying to create for your documentary, and put the animals in just so patterns, and then you can combo those scenes together to build the best documentary. It's a competitive game. We got several people really enjoying it here. Rado says if you really like good spatial puzzles, you're going to dig this. And I do like spatial puzzles. So, and I also love these animeeples. I mean, they're just really cute looking, nice, big, chunky pieces. The idea of building a film, I just recently received roll camera. Haven't got it to the table yet, but excited to try that one. This has made me think of that roll camera, and I've heard roll camera is actually coming out with an expansion pretty soon, so keep your eye out for that. I think maybe next month in October. So yeah, it looks interesting. There's a solo mode, which is always a plus for me. And if you're interested, you can look down here at our pledge levels. For $52, you can get the game with all these stretch goals. Let's see if we can find real quick the shipping here. Get this promo pack as part of the Kickstarter. They got these different stretch goals coming. Where is the shipping? Does it have it? It may be one of those. A lot of companies, I haven't even mentioned shipping on a few of the previous ones, because a lot of them are saying it's unknown at this point with the way the world of shipping is. So here's what they're saying: 13 to the US, which is where I'm located. So that's actually pretty good, given the state of shipping and all that mess that's going on there. But Wild Serengeti, another one I'm looking at. I love the beauty of it. I think it's a gorgeous looking game, interesting theme. So almost 2 weeks to figure out whether I'm going to back this one or not. Next up, Earth Rising, 20 years to transform your world. So this is a cooperative game where you have 20 rounds to save the world from basically dying of ecological destruction. And so you're playing it cooperatively, and you've got all these different areas of focus: industry, agriculture, infrastructure, trying to work as a climatologist, ecologist, activist, grassroots politician, innovator, or eco-investor to work together to save the world. But while you're doing this, there's going to be both sustainable and unsustainable actions that come up, because there's going to be certain industries and certain groups of people who don't want change. They want the status quo. And so their status quo is going to cause different unsustainable actions to take place. And you're going to have to work cooperatively to get rid of those unsustainable actions and replace them with sustainable actions. This company also very interesting because they are trying to build this or create this game in a completely sustainable fashion. I like the circular board. And I like the educational aspect of it, with all these influence cards that are going to bring the way the world influences your desire to make a better place, and the status quo, people trying to fight back against your desire to make progress and sustainability. So it looks really interesting. There's the retail bulk buy. There's a digital educator pack if you just want a digital version. Big Heart Donator if you want to donate a copy to a school or a library. And then I'm looking here, there's £40 for the game. An informational booklet. I'm looking at the educational pack as a teacher again, teaching science. I think my wife and I might be able to incorporate this into our classrooms. So it's a first edition board game, informational booklet, informational digital booklet, and then the teaching lesson plans and source material. So that interests me quite a bit. So this is one I'm looking at. May even decide if I decide to back it, I may also decide to add on a donate, and maybe donate one to our school library or to a local library here where we live. Not sure, still following this one. Quite a bit of time to go on this one. And let's see, this is again the 100% sustainability, and they're also giving, I think, 50% of their profits to a large number of groups that are trying to improve the ecological status of our Earth. And so not only trying to put out a board game that's going to educate people of actual sustainable practices, but also trying to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and back some organizations that are trying to do the same. And so for this one, for the board game, it's about £16. And so if we look over here with the conversion, for the donation, it's about $35, and for the education pack, about $63. So definitely keeping my eye on this one. Looks very interesting. Almost 3 weeks to go, and I'll be making a decision on that in those 3 weeks if I'm going to back this one or not. Next up, ThreeTale, which actually canceled recently, and this is one that I was interested in. I won't spend much time on it because it canceled. I'm hoping they are going to come back with a revamped project, but this is by Borderia, and it was a fantasy game, a cooperative game. One thing that interests me is you have this time where you're in the past and then the present and the future, and so there's kind of phases of the game. And I love the art. I like the different miniatures. It looked really pretty. So I was very interested in it. If you look at their website, Again, what's in the box? It looks like some really nice content. And then there's a story behind it, which I thought it was pretty interesting. It's based on this dream and this person undergoing fasting and prayer to try to decide how they're going to improve their world. And so in a fantasy world, but kind of like the Earth Rising, trying to improve the world, but more in a fantasy setting here. And you try these different characters. So it looked really interesting. Definitely I was considering that one, but it's canceled for now. So we'll see, maybe they'll come back in the future. Next up, Mythic Mischief. And this is kind of like Flamecraft for me. When I first heard about this game, the theme itself and the imagery didn't really interest me. But I've heard so many people saying they love it. And so all these people really enthusiastically enjoying this game. Well, I need to check it out, because when I see this doesn't pull me in at all. I know for some people it's exactly what they're looking for, but for me it's not at all what I'm looking for. But I like the idea of asymmetry. These miniatures don't do anything for me, so yeah, I'm like, I would not normally even spend time on this, but so many people are very interested in this, and so maybe it's FOMO coming in on me. The whole goal of the game, I guess, is you are these students in this school, and you're trying to get all the other characters captured by the Tome Keeper, and you're going to be moving these walls around to try to corner them in and make them move in certain directions. I mean, the components look great, and all these people really love it. There's a solo mode. So yeah, I'm still following it. I strongly doubt that I'll back it, just because I'm still not drawn in by the theme. But I mean, this is one I would love to be able to play and see if does the gameplay overcome it. Because there have been games like Azul. I never really wanted to play Azul, and then when I tried it, I was like, it's actually a lot more fun than I thought. Still not one of my favorite games of all time, but I'm glad I own it, glad I can play it. And I'm wondering if this will be the same kind of deal, where maybe it has nothing that interests me, but that if I actually played it, maybe I would really like it. So I don't know. This is one that I'm still looking at. Pledges really for $59. You get the base game with this one Ghosts expansion. And then for $95, you can get the Headmaster pledge with all these different Trolls and Witches expansions as well. And then if you really want to go full out, you can get these back to school spirit pledges, where you can get some swag as well if you'd like to. So interesting, very exciting for a lot of people. I mean, if you look at what's going on here, 291,000, 582% funded, and lots of people saying they love this game. So I'd love to try it out. But honestly, even as a teacher and with that educational thought, it doesn't seem educational, I guess, but with the educational background or a school background, I thought I would maybe be more interested, but for some reason it's just not drawing me in. So maybe if there's some way I would have a chance to play it in the future. I doubt if I'll end up backing it, but maybe if I have a chance to play in the future with someone who does, I'd love to try it, but I'm not sure I really want to back it. I don't know, still looking at it. All right, now what are the games that I'm looking forward to? So you've seen what I've been following, what I backed. Now what are the ones I'm looking forward to? So 11, it's also on Gamefound, and this is by Portal Games. Being a football manager, and football being what Americans call soccer, I haven't played very many games from Portal, but I did back the Robinson Crusoe recently, and I am interested in this because I'm a big sports fan. Football, soccer has never really been, I played it a little bit when I was younger, but never really been one that I've been too enthusiastic about. When we were living overseas, I tried to become a football fan, and I started watching Liverpool. And when Harry Kewell was the big man there, and trying to become a fan, and I got into it a little bit, but it just never drew me in like other sports. So, but I love managing games. I love sports management games. I've only played them digitally in the past, but like Madden and some of those games, I loved creating the team and, you know, hiring the coaches and choosing the plays and setting up the season. I loved that aspect of those games, even more than just playing the actual games of football. And so with this soccer football, curious to know if this might be one that I would enjoy. My son-in-law, Aaron, is just a huge football fan, and so thought maybe he would enjoy playing this game with me. So definitely checking this one out when it comes live in a couple of days. You can see it starts in 2 days and 18 hours. This is September 4th right now, so just a couple days. I think it's on the 7th when it launches. Next up, Dungeons of Infinity. This one's on Kickstarter, and this one's by Sky Kingdom Games. I'm not sure if this is a game that I would normally check into, but Sky Kingdom, I'm backing Isofarian Guard, and very excited about that. And so there's even some similarities in the design of this game that's drawing me in. And you can see here on their Facebook page some more information. I love the art, and I love these dual layer boards. This is reminding me a lot of why I backed Isofarian Guard. This Dungeons of Infinity is a remake. They're taking this game. I forget who the original publisher of the game was, but they're taking this and they're bringing it back in a deluxeified version, cleaning up the game, I think, a little bit, tweaking it here and there. And so this is one that I'm definitely going to check out. Theme-wise, it's a fantasy theme. I don't know too much about it yet, kind of going to wait till it comes out, but I love what they're doing with the art and the components, and I've been very impressed with what they're doing with Icefarian Guard, although it has taken a long time because of COVID and shipping and all those different things, everything that's slowed down in the last year and a half. But I'm very excited about Icefarian Guard, so definitely going to check this one out when it comes live on September 7th. All right, just a few more here that I'm checking out or keeping my eye on in the future. Agemonia. So Agemonia is also launching, I believe, on the 7th. And for this game, yep, starts in 2 days. In this game, it's I watched this video, and it's an interesting game of, you've got this rich high fantasy world, and you're building up this band of heroes, and you're trying to cooperatively go through a bunch of different scenarios, 30 unique scenarios, and there's 4 player characters. I love the beauty of this game board, so definitely want to check this out. Still kind of digging into the story and the gameplay and the gameplay testing, but definitely loving the art, so going to check this one out when it launches. Again, I think this one's on the 7th. Another one coming up on the 7th is The Spill by Kurt Covert, and this is Smirk and Dagger. And this game, you are actually battling an oil spill. And so you got to clean up the oil, you got to remove or clean up the rig, remove the oil from the water, rescue marine animals. A cooperative game, 1 to 4 player. It sounds very pandemic in terms of how you're going to work cooperatively to do that. And so we enjoyed Pandemic, but I like this theme better, especially these days. I think this theme might sound a little more intriguing and interesting for people. And I like this idea. They call it a reverse tower defense game, because the oil rig is actually like a dice tower, but as the dice come out, you're actually using that to see how the oil spill advances, I think. So interesting. I'm very curious to learn more about this game when this one comes out, also on the 7th. So if you're interested, check out The Spill, September 7th. Next up is EOS, Island of Angels by King Raccoon and Gray Fox Games. And I'm not sure if this is a game I'll really be that interested in based on the theme. It sounds okay. The art looks decent. I mean, it looks really nice art, but thematically, I'm not sure. It's sort of cartoony. I don't generally go into that too much. But the last 2 Gray Fox games I've played, I've really loved. Champions of Midgard, an older game, and then After the Empire, a more recent game. Loved both of them. So I know this has some worker placement elements, and you're basically trying to put you're playing as a crew, trying to travel across these dangerous oceans, battling demons and sea creatures to get to this island to free these angels. So there's this whole angels and demons kind of theme. And you got some worker placement things going on in this game, some asymmetry between the different players, and you're trying to be the first one basically to get to the island and free the angels. So thematically, not that interested. The art, I think, is beautiful, but and as you scroll down here, this is really nice art, but the cartoony nature of it is just okay for me. It's beautiful, but normally that's not the kind that draws me in too much, but definitely want to check it out. We'll see. Yeah, I like I said, I've been very impressed with the only two Gray Fox games I played. Next up, Solar Sphere, Harness the Power of the Stars, Duranda Games. And this one, every time I see it, I think for some reason just reminds me of Terraforming Mars. And I don't even think, from what I've heard from Rado and others, I don't think the gameplay is that similar to Terraforming Mars, but something about the cubes and the card play and the spherical, you can see here the spherical board kind of reminds me of that Mars, and putting the tiles out. There's enough here that kind of reminds me of that Terraforming Mars, with putting the cubes and putting the tiles and trying to score by how you put those cubes and tiles. And then there's cards, like I said, but this does add the element of dice. And so I'm curious to see more about this game. Rado was very excited about it, and quite a few other people pretty excited about this game. So coming out also September 7th. If you're interested, check out Solar Sphere. Next, Verdant by Flat Out Games. And the theme of this one is you're trying to develop this house plant collection, which doesn't sound interesting to me at all, but Flat Out Games killed it for me with Cascadia, and they also made Calico, which I know tons of people love. I haven't had a chance to play that. We also really like Point Salad. So yeah, definitely interested in this one. A puzzly spatial game, card game, 1 to 4 players. The idea of building a houseplant collection would really be intriguing to my daughter and my son and my wife, but for me, not so much. So, but maybe theme-wise, it'll pull them in, and gameplay might pull me in. So definitely going to check this out. Beth Sobel's art, as always, is gorgeous. So looks like it would be an interesting game to try. And I think thematically, the rest of my family might really like it. So going to be keeping my eyes on Verdant from Flat Out Games coming. And this one starts September 14th, I believe. Next up, and this one starts on September 16th, I believe, Colab. And this is a place where you're going to have resource dice and using dice in a variety of different places, monsters, devices, potions, and you're basically representing Collaboratory Incorporated. You're trying to create monsters and potions and different things. And this is a take this mechanic, which caught my attention. And so instead of take that, every time you do an action, it's also going to potentially benefit the other players as well. And you're trying to just build a wide variety of monsters and potions and devices to win the game. So interesting take this concept. The art on this one is a little bit interesting. Again, it's kind of cartoony, which isn't necessarily what normally draws me in. But yeah, the game play with that take this element, definitely want to learn more about this. And I've heard a lot of content creators pretty excited about this one coming, so definitely going to be following this one as well. Next up, Quests and Cannons, and this one comes out on September 21st. In this one, you're playing a high fantasy game on the high seas, and so it's a sandbox adventure game for 1 to 6 players. It's an accessible game with deep strategy according to their advertisements here, and so definitely looking forward to learning more about this game. We got slotted player boards, many ways to play. I do love the vibrant art and colors here. And this sort of map style art does draw me in more personally. And everyone has their own, flavors and tastes that they like on the art. And so there's some reviewers down here. I'm curious to check out what Better Half Reviews thinks about this one. They're a channel that I follow a lot, and probably check out a couple of these videos to see when this one gets a little bit closer, if this is something I might be interested in backing. Quests and Cannons, The Risen Islands, coming September 21st. Next up, we've got Beast by Studio Midhall. And this is a one versus many game. And that type of game isn't one that typically draws me in, but one plays as the beast and the other are hunters. But just this art does draw me in. I don't know what the difference is. Some would say yeah, that's still cartoony, but to me, I don't know, it seems more dark or something. And same thing with movies. Like Batman's one of my favorite heroes, but I liked the darker new Batman series, The Dark Knight versus all the old Batman movies, because I like that sort of gritty, dark theme type compared to others. So definitely interested in checking this one out, even though one versus many isn't the kind of game that I typically migrate towards. But this one I believe is coming out September 28th. And so keep your eye out for that one if you're interested. And last up, Artisans of Splendent Vale by Renegade Game Studios, a cooperative adventure game set in a magical land of beauty, adventure, and magic. And I think this is coming out late in September. Couldn't get a specific date for this one, but we've got this material that's fallen from the sky, this crimson material, and you're working cooperatively in this magic land as a troop of artisans to take this material that's falling from the sky and build artifices to catapult the township into an industrial revolution. So the art is interesting, and yeah, I've heard a lot of people are really excited about this one, so definitely going to be checking this one out as well. This art doesn't necessarily draw me in as much as some of the others, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it, and it's just one that caught my attention, definitely one that I'll be checking out. Now, as for other tabs, I've got a bunch of other things up here, but those are later, coming in future months. So there you have it. Several channels that I follow that help me keep up to date on what's happening on Gamefound and Kickstarter, and then what are the games I backed, those 6 games and projects that I backed, and then a bunch of projects that I've been following that are done, a bunch that I'm still following that are carrying on into September, and then even some coming later in September that I'm excited about. Hopefully you found something interesting and helpful in this video. If you did, it'd be great if you click on that thumbs up down below. Check out those channels I mentioned. I'll have links in the description below for all of their channels, and also links for all of these games that I've mentioned, all of these Kickstarter and Gamefound projects that I've mentioned. If it's been helpful, give it that thumbs up down below. If there's other projects you think I should check out based on what you've heard about my likes and dislikes and the games that I'm interested in, make sure you leave those comments down below as well. It'd be great if you'd follow the channel and subscribe. That would be terrific. As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy, Indiana, signing off.